Hey everyone, welcome to my new segment on my channel called Alternative Faith Discussions, where I talk about somebody who has actually walked away from the mainstream religions such as Christianity, and they have found home, refuge in another faith. Today I'm speaking with Heather Foy, who is part of the Celtic religion.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me on your show today, Kelly. It's such an honor to be here and be able to sit down and talk with you today.
Yes, first thing that I want to do is I want to plug. This is Heather's podcast, where she's with our wonderful friend Tamara Jezebel, and that is an amazing show that I had to plug.
Yes,
We're
we
gonna talk
love
about it later
hearing
on. There's more,
you.
but I want to just plug that in. But yeah, her and Jezebel Joe do a show together, and I was
Yes,
on there, so you have to
it's
watch.
my baby.
Yeah. So I don't really want to go deep into your deconstructing because you did talk about it in your episode.
Yes, I did a little bit.
Yes. Now, how when you walked away and you decided no longer wanted to be a Christian, whatever faith you were at the time, how did you start to find out about the Celtic religion and decide that was right for you?
It honestly was just the internet. I'm not going to lie and be like, oh, yeah, this great thing fell out of the sky. No, it was TikTok. Like, it really was the internet. I had been deconstructing for several years, trying to put pieces together of my faith, of what it is that I wanted to keep, and what it is that I wanted to throw away, what wasn't beneficial towards me and my faith journey at that time. And I was kind of trying to find a place to land. And I was literally at the point where I was ready to just throw in the towel and be like, nope, I'm completely done. I'm walking away. Forget all this. I've had it. I'm frustrated. And then I was scrolling on TikTok one day, and that was where I happened to see Bishop John Gee talking about Celtic Christianity. And he was talking about this faith path, and everything that he continued to say resonated with me more and more about the faith. And I became curious. And then I started to do research. What is Celtic Christianity? What do these people believe? What makes this faith path so different from the faith path that I had already been on, had escaped from? And the biggest thing with Celtic Christianity is the freedom. Celtic Christianity gives you a freedom to be honest about the Bible, and they give you the freedom to discover God in many places that you may find them. And that doesn't always end up being in the Bible. One of my favorite quotes is, I always love finding God in the places that the church told me to never look. Because I always find God where the church told me that I wasn't allowed to look. And that's kind of what happened. I started interacting with Bishop and more of our interactions. And then I was like, okay, so what do I got to do to be part of this faith? I had already been ordained previously from
Okay.
being part of the evangelical church. Um, but I had told my bishop this. I had gotten my ordination through an organization that holds beliefs that are completely the opposite of beliefs that I hold now. So
Okay.
for me, it was a moral dilemma for me to be ordained by this institution that I no longer hold their beliefs, right? For me, I was still tied to them in some way. And
Yeah.
I was like, I wanted to seek out ordination on a different path that affirmed my new beliefs of being loving and inclusive and, doing anti racism work, all the things that Christianity really doesn't do.
Do yes.
And that's what Celtic Christianity was for me. And it's not like, I just started talking to my bishop and then he was like, "Oh, let me sign this piece of paper and ordain you." No, I had to put in the work. I had to study. It's not like you just say, "Oh, I want to be a minister." And they're like, "Okay, this is what we're going to do." No, you actually have to work for it.
I'm gonna backtrack for those who don't know what Celtic Christianity religion. Describe that if you briefly, if you can.
I will explain it to you the best that I can.
Yes.
Celtic Christianity is the earliest version of the Christian faith. The Celts were here before Christianity was ever established, okay? They were pagan, they had their own beliefs. Then Jesus came along and he shook things up a little bit. And what the Celts did is they took their beliefs that they already held and they incorporated that with Christianity. And that's how Celtic Christianity was birthed. But Celtic Christianity is very different in mainstream Christianity in the fact that we don't hold a certain set of core doctrine that we say this is absolute truth. And if you don't follow this and adhere to it to a T, then you don't know God. You don't follow God. We don't believe that at all. In fact, we believe that God can be found in everything that has life. So it doesn't matter who you are. I can see the spark of the divine in you. And it makes it very different because what guides me is love. Primarily, it is about love. And in order to love my neighbors well, I have to understand my neighbor. Because if I don't understand my neighbor, then I can't love them well. But I need to understand them in the way that they have experienced the world, not the way that I have experienced it. And a lot of the times, us Christians were taught to view the world through a very narrow lens. And we, take our understanding and apply that to other people. But when we do that, we discount their own lived experiences, their traumas, their struggles, their pain. And we could just say, "Oh, well, my experience wasn't like that. So I don't have to take you seriously." But that's not how that works, right?
Exactly.
So, primarily what my ministry focuses on is being honest about the Bible, even the ugly, nasty parts, and being honest and saying, we don't know. I will tell you everything that I believe in faith, it's faith for a reason because I can't prove any of it. But Christians won't be honest about that. They won't be honest and say, "No, I can't prove this." Instead, they'll just use a bunch of mistranslated, misquoted scriptures to try and back up what it is that they're trying to prove, but the Bible doesn't prove the Bible. They run around in circles. So Celtic Christianity gave me an opportunity to be honest about the Bible, be honest about God, be honest about the ugly parts of the Bible, but it also gave me an opportunity to be honest about the harm that Christianity has caused for decades. Because we're not talking about this happened years and years ago. Because people think, "Oh, the Crusades was so long ago," but
But
it's
it
still
don't matter.
happening today.
Yes.
So, and my ministry focuses on helping people heal from the harm that they have experienced in these extremist Christian spaces, which is kind of crazy because most Christians can't even hold space for people that have been harmed in religious spaces, let alone walk them through their healing process, even if their healing process leads them completely away from the faith altogether. And that's the difference. I will celebrate your atheism with you. I will sit with you in your Satanist beliefs. I do not care. What brings you peace and happiness is what matters the most. What brings
I
you
agree.
healing is what matters most. And we don't all find healing and peace in the same places, because I promise you, if I was to go to the Baptist church down the street on Sunday, that would not bring me peace. That would bring me torment.
Remembering. Now, the holiday is among us. What are the traditions of that,
So we
of the
have our
celebration?
own Advent that we celebrate.
Okay.
And Celtic Christians, we also acknowledge the different seasons. So we celebrate Samhain, you know.
Okay.
We do celebrate the seasons. We have what's called the Celtic Wheel of the Year. So there are different seasons where we
Okay.
celebrate different things, and there are different rituals that we will do during those different seasons. And it depends on the Celt on what their rituals are, because they can vary vastly, because it's all about your own personal spiritual practice. You know, some people incorporate crystals into their practice. Some people use runes in their practice. It depends on the practitioner, really. It does. And what brings you peace.
Okay. So, what made you decide to be more than a member of the Celtic Christian religion, and you two are you are Reverend? Okay, Reverend. I was gonna think of, I was
Yeah.
called a priestess or something.
So I had years ago, when I was part of the evangelical church, I had this dream many years ago that I was going to be the next Joyce Meyer. And I crack up every time I think about that, because I'm like, no, I would not want that now.
No, you know. Yeah,
But for
you
me,
grew
when
up and learned.
yes, I did. And basically, my passion since deconstructing has been to expose the harm that the church causes. You know, I spent 36 years in religious spaces. I was indoctrinated from birth. I thought I was a piece of garbage at 5 years old, because at 5, they had me convinced that I was worthy of hellfire, you know? And I still remember being that little 5-year-old giving my heart to the Lord that Sunday morning at my daddy's church, because I thought I was so rotten. And I look back on that and I'm just like, wow, my grandson was born, like 18 months ago. When that baby came
That
out,
was the
he was
cute,
perfect
a Grinch
baby.
baby.
Yes,
That
he
was that
was
Grinch
so
baby.
perfect. And I remember getting so angry. I was so angry, because I remembered that memory of me being 5 years old and them convincing me that I was dirty, rotten sinner at a 5-year-old child. And that really, those lies have fueled my passion of exposing the harm that religion causes, because I was part of it for 36 years. I was taught that that was what was to be believed as truth, that that brought healing and, hope to people. But then when I got out on the other side, I ended up learning that wasn't bringing hope or healing. That was harming people. It was traumatizing them. It was giving them anxiety, depression, PTSD. And it got to the point where I can't ignore that harm anymore. In fact, I can't be quiet about this harm, because if I'm quiet, then I'm complicit, especially with what I know. So I just started running my mouth on the internet and haven't stopped since.
Yeah, that's a good thing. You
And
have
now
important
I
stuff to say.
expose, I expose the harm that is preached behind the pulpit. I will do videos a lot of the times where I'm just calling out the false doctrine that they preach. And I have another series on my page where I call out the sexual predators that are arrested on a regular basis that come out of religious spaces. It's called the creep of the day. And
Yeah, I remember we talked. It
yeah.
was on your TikTok, and we talked about it before my interview. How you had to out somebody that was
Yes,
in the
that
construction
I used
community.
to go to church with.
Church with,
There
yeah.
was somebody we used to go to church with, and this man was a man that, taught my children in children's church. He was a kindergarten teacher, a youth pastor. Everybody in the community would say what a great guy he was, right? But he was the one that was harming all kinds of little kids. And it just, for me, I can't be quiet about that stuff, because I know so many people like me that are Christians. They think that that's not my business. I shouldn't talk about those
Oh
things. We
yeah.
shouldn't ever speak of those things. We were taught not even to, question the pastor or the person that was in authority. So, how
Nope.
dare you speak ill of a man of God? When I first started speaking out on the internet, my mother in law literally called my husband. She's like, I'm just really worried about her. She's saying a lot of really bold stuff on the internet. I don't want her to bring any curses upon herself or anything. I'm like,
And
wow.
congratulations, you just celebrated
Yeah,
anniversary. Yeah, I was.
I did. We
Yes, I
did.
saw. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was
Congratulations
28
on that.
years. We've been together for 28 years.
Congratulations. I can't even get 28 days. Okay, I'm
We
gonna
were
say
both
this.
we
My
were
Lord.
both indoctrinated together, and we broke out together and
Oh, that was good.
deconstructed separately, but still were able to, rebuild our relationship, and it's better now than it ever was before
Yeah, oh, that
because we've
TikTok
both
you did
found healing.
recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good TikTok when you talked about how you got better once you left the Christianity
Yes.
and things, the mainstream Christianity and everything. I don't know, might be controversial, but this is a topic of discussion. And many of my friends that are in the atheist community are now, they once were pagan and
Yeah.
left religion and tried to find a way. And then I guess I'm going to have some of them come on, maybe come on, talk about your story, Robin. And they just was like, I'm more anti-theist,
Yeah.
my belief that even if there is a God, he did a shitty job. And that's just how I feel about it. And
And
that's how
that's
I feel about it. And that's just how
okay.
I feel about it. I don't knock anybody else for what they think, but
Yeah.
that's just my thought process on it and everything. And I'm just like, I don't know, but like I said, I don't have any problem with anybody else thinks and everything. We can get along. And what people understand is that it was so funny. One of my coworkers, I don't, I'm not open. I am, but I'm not. I don't volunteer the information. But I
Yeah.
wore an atheist shirt one day, and people was like, "Wait, we didn't know you was atheist."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah." And so one of the ladies was like, "You seem like a nice person to be an atheist person." And I
You know
said,
what though?
What does
That's
that
so
make?"
funny. That's so funny though, because when I was in the church, we were taught that, anybody who was a non-believer was evil. So you would automatically just judge somebody as, oh, and that's really probably why she was shocked because you're a nice, decent human being and she's expecting you to be some evil monster. And it's like, no, I actually do love people. I'm pretty chill.
Yeah, yeah. We have the Aunt Jill. She's a wonderful model on the other channel. I need to model of mine, but she said this. Yeah, they do. They do go there. It's just and a lot of people go to like the Sunday assembly and things of that nature, which
Yeah.
gives them a space of similarities of religion. We're not putting God in there. And I know
Mhm.
like sometimes they've had like Wiccan speakers and stuff like that,
Yes.
and the Satanists and things like that, which I think is, I need to find it. If anybody knows a Satanist, I can come on my show. Let me know. But yeah, so when that comes, like I said, so anyway, so my coworker and I said, only thing different between me and somebody else, I don't believe in a God. It doesn't. That's not their morals. That's not their standards. They're not the person that they
Yeah.
are. And she was like, "You're right." I said, "Because I'd rather hang with some Christians than I am some atheists."
Yeah.
And that's just straight up. I don't care. I said it for the people in the back.
It really
Yeah.
depends on, the content of your character. Like, I know there are good Christians out there just as well as there are good atheists out there, but there's bad Christians and there's bad atheists too, you know? I'm really more concerned about who you are as a person, how you show up in the world. How do you treat other people? Because that's what matters most. I don't give a crap about what you believe at the end of the day. Really, that's up to you. I always say faith is such a personal journey. And I don't even care what brand of faith you subscribe to. Like that's not my business. That's your business.
The
Um
one thing I always think is that would we have been, like you said, you were like 5 years old. I was 5 years old as well when I was indoctrinated. would we still be as religious if we found out about it at 12, 14?
No. And that's the reality, is that that's why you have to be indoctrinated when you're young, because they have to do it when you're young, because that's when your most formative years are. So that's when they make the biggest impression on you. And that's why we can leave these religious spaces. I've been out of the church 8 years now. But I guarantee you, if my tire was to go flat while I was going down the road, I'd still have that thought pop in the back of my mind. Oh my God, maybe I'm out of the will of God,
Yeah.
because I was told for so long that I would be punished for that. Right. And those things don't just automatically go away. Healing is a journey because we're always working on that stuff, you know? So it's a process. And also, it's like, if they do get you when you're older, it's because you're going through something. It's because you're going through a hard time, your spouse left you, you lost your job, you're going through a chronic illness. It's like you're struggling in some way. And it's like they're preying upon you being in that position, right? Because that's what they do. They prey upon you and they feed off of you, and then they warp you into some weird human being with no compassion or empathy, who acts self-righteous.
Sugar's having a little nightmare in the background. Yeah. Um. Yeah. It just resonates with me and everything. And like when I walked away, I was just like, nothing. I didn't want to nowhere around. So where is, when it comes to the Celtic, where would people find out more information
So
or?
we actually have a website. It's called ancientceltic.info. And you can go there and find out more about the Ancient Celtic Church. Now, the Ancient Celtic Church is two people here in the United States. Okay. We are actually part of a larger church that is in another country.
Okay, okay,
But
okay,
it's basically me and my bishop, and he started the sect over here in the United States, and then he ordained me. So I'm the next half of that. And all of our ministry is primarily online. He's got several books that are out there, but we literally have formed an online community. And that's where we help people that are deconstructing from conservative Christian beliefs. And we help point you in the direction and give you more information. And if you want to know more about the Celtic faith, we'd be happy to tell you more about it. But the Celtic faith is not like, your typical Christianity where you're going to be in a church every Sunday and have a minister preaching at you. It is a very individual journey. It is your journey of discovering who you are, who God is to you, and how you want to live that out in the world.
and is your husband a part of it as well?
No, he is not. My husband is an atheist.
I did have him on my. No, he probably don't do shows now.
Yeah. He deconstructed completely out of the faith, and he calls himself like agnostic now,
Okay,
he's like an agnostic atheist. He doesn't really, know whether God exists or not. Can't prove anything. But he has pretty much walked away from all of it, and he's done. He's done. And that's okay.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree with him.
Yeah.
I agree with him. But a lot of people do walk away from faith, and then because they're used to having the community and the
Yes.
establishment. That's one reason why that I'm part of the community, and I'm part of Michigan Atheists with Tamara. Jezebel Good, for
Yes.
those who don't know. And I'm also part of Black Non-Believers, because it was so hard when you go look on the TV screen, all you saw was all these white people. And I
Yes.
have no problem with them, but I needed some
You
people
need to see your
my
own self
skin color
represented. Yes.
sometimes. I'm like the
Yes.
only, I'm like, I was some kind of way, maybe because I was raised kind of way. I'm the only black person in the
Yes.
environment. If you need one more black person, I feel comfortable.
I
Though I
totally
did
get it.
go to the back cruise this year, and I was the only black person at the Airbnb, and I feel comfortable.
Well, that's good.
But yeah.
You're growing.
I'm growing, yeah. So yeah, but I mean, it's the thing, you know. So I am going to. We might end early because I know you have to head out and do some things, and I also
I
have to do
do. I've
work.
got.
Now I've not made anything to eat yet. I need to cook me
Oh,
something.
you get something
Yeah, yeah.
to
I
eat,
do this. I'll do this at the last. I'm doing this all the time at the last minute. I don't know how I'll be getting to work on time, but
Well,
I'll be
thank
making
you
it.
again. I really do
Oh, I'm
appreciate you
still gonna.
having me
We're
here.
still gonna.
But
We're not finished yet.
yeah.
But I wanted to talk about your, which I mentioned earlier, your wonderful show.
Yes, we can talk about my show. So,
Yeah,
I told you guys that, I work with religious trauma survivors, and Tamara and I started up a podcast called The Awakening, and we interview religious trauma survivors every week. And they share their stories of what it is that it took to survive religious trauma and abuse. The stories are heavy, they're raw, they're real, and they're just they break my heart. They keep me out of the church. I actually made a video like that a couple of weeks ago on my TikTok, and I said, "These stories are what keep me out of religious spaces every single week because they remind me that the harm is not done, it's ongoing and active. Every single day, every single church house you look at, it is bleeding on people all the time. It's cutting them, it's bleeding on them, it's harming them, it's traumatizing them. It's not a place of refuge anymore." So, and we've had some really brave people on the show. Um,
that's
one
a
woman,
story.
one woman that you were there. Yes, you were there
Yeah,
too.
a couple
So
weeks
if
ago.
you listen to Kelly's episode, because it was really, really good. But we had one woman on there that, when she was retelling her story, she literally shut down while she was
Yeah, I
in the
remember
middle
you
of
telling me
retelling it
that.
because of the trauma. And that's what people don't realize. When we talk about religious trauma, people are thinking, oh, you just have your feelings hurt. That pastor just said something that you didn't like. No, we're talking about PTSD. We're talking about emotional trauma, mental trauma, anxiety, depression. These are things that have to be unpacked in therapy for years when people suffer from them. So it's for us, it's just an honor to be able to elevate the stories of other survivors, because I think the more that we share these stories, the more people are aware that this harm is still happening. It's still ongoing. It's not something that you can just sweep under the rug or pray away because it won't just go away. It needs to be addressed and handled. And, we need to stop teaching these things that are causing harm like this to real people. So, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I really enjoyed being on the show, and I really enjoyed it. And I have, as soon as I get everything situated, my friend Reese, so which was supposed to be on my show, but the family emergency happened, so she wasn't on my show. So hopefully she can be on your show too, because she also has another story that um she also has a story that's worth telling as well.
that's awesome. We would love to have her. We would. And I
Yeah,
always tell people if you're interested in being on the show, send us an email at theawakeningpod@gmail.com. We would love to have you on the show.
yes. So if anybody has any stories that they want to tell, uh,
Yeah.
be on
And
her
it
show.
doesn't necessarily have to be religious trauma. We had a woman last week that her show went live today, and she was somebody who was sent off to Jamaica as part of the troubled teen industry. And
Wow.
her story was absolutely horrible. She was adopted by a Christian family and when she was young, and because she had a lot of behavior issues and trauma and stuff like that, they couldn't handle her, so they sent her off to Jamaica at 12, and she was there until she was 17. She lived in this troubled teen abusive place from the age of 12 to 17, and I was just like, "Wow."
Well, I'm going to say something about me. I'm just so glad that my mom did not do this, but my mom dated a man, and he was a very pronounced man, meaning he was,
Yeah.
I won't say no names, but he was very prominent in the community. And but anyway, he told my mom that I really don't like children.
Oh, wow.
How you gonna talk to somebody that has two children?
Yeah.
And he said that there is a um boarding school in Switzerland that I would like to send Kelly to.
Hmm.
So yeah, that happened. And mom was like, "What?" And then my brother would go to a military camp in Canada. That was a plan.
Oh, wow.
Of course, mom dropped him like a hot.
Good for her. Good for
Then later
her.
on, he did marry someone who didn't have any children, and he ended up abusing her.
Wow.
So but that's a
Your
whole.
mama, she dodged all kinds of bullets with
Yeah.
that one.
So
She was
if
smart.
if we weren't there, she probably would have married him because she didn't
Yeah.
know. But yeah, what is yeah, but yeah.
Wow.
Switzerland, like what the hell? I'm
Yeah,
here like
that's
what? I'm not
crazy.
going to Switzerland because I was older. What are you talking about? I was like 10 or something. I'm not going to damn Switzerland.
No.
You got me messed up.
No, we were raised on James Dobson, okay? That was my dad, he loved James Dobson, so that spoil the rod, spare the child nonsense. He took that so literally that he beat the crap out of my brother, like, it was horrible. We grew up in such an abusive home, and now he's like, "I don't know why my kids don't talk to me."
That really gets to me. Yeah, like my mom was, I can't really say my mom was more so, my mom was not abusive in a sense. And even though I say this, my brother was the golden child.
Yeah,
But everybody know he wasn't because how mom helped you with your children and stuff. She did the same thing with him, but she just did a little
yeah,
bit more for him. And so when I first left Christianity, I didn't talk to my mom for a couple years. And so my kids would tell me how she would have talked to somebody randomly and was like, would there ever be any? She'd be like, excuse me, can I ask you a question? This is my kids would tell me, she would say, because I wasn't there.
yeah,
Would you not talk to your mom? Was any, my daughter, she does not talk to me at all for no reason. I
yeah,
do anything to her. And I'm like, and then my friend had to tell her, like, yes, you did. Do you understand what you said and did to your daughter to hurt her to make her not want to talk to you?
yeah, yeah.
And that's crazy. Now, Aunt Jir, our wonderful person, asked if if you've heard of the podcast I Hate James Dobson.
Yes, I have heard of it. And actually, one of my good friends runs another podcast that is about James Dobson too. She does the Focus on Your Own Family podcast, and her podcast is really incredible too. I won't even lie, I was one of the people that was really happy when I heard he passed away. That's probably terrible, but he has
Yeah.
terrorized so many families. Like, because of James Dobson, I was beat as a kid. And it's because of James Dobson that I spanked my own children. Like, I remember being in church and we were taking parenting classes. We were wanting to be the best godly Christian parents that we could be. And they literally gave us step by step instructions on how to beat our children and abuse them. Like, no joke. And this was how we were to do it the godly way, right? With step by step instructions. They even taught us to use pressure points on the kids
Wow.
because they were silent. You could use a pressure point while they were in church and get their attention real quick without making a lot of noise. That was James Dobson. Like, he was so obsessed with hurting kids in various different ways. It was so gross. And, I've had to go to my own children and apologize to them, be like, I'm sorry. I didn't know any better. Like, we really thought we were doing what was right because we were trying to do what was right, which was why we took the stupid parenting classes. But we had no idea that we were being taught the very things that would harm our kids.
I remember one time, this is traumatic, but my dad was very abusive as well. And so one time I said something. I'm always smart mouth kid, even as a child. So he hit me like in my throat. So Like for a minute, I like lost my breath for like a
Yeah.
few minutes, and I was like, "What?" You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was. I ain't gotta do it again.
Mhm.
Shut the hell up.
I remember, being little and my dad spanking me, begging him, crying. It didn't matter. They're gonna whack you anyhow, and they don't care where they hit you, just as long as they hit you either. If you're moving, and I just, it's so frustrating when I think back on it. But it's okay. We learn and we do better
Yeah, my
moving
mom go in
forward.
the basement, play jazz music. That's when we get spanked. Listen to jazz music
That's crazy.
and be in the basement so nobody really could hear us. And then we had something called the round table. So if it was something you did really bad, you might get a spanking from your aunt, your uncle as well. Not only just your mom.
Oh
And your
wow,
neighbor could spank you as well too if you did something.
that's messed up.
And then they would tell your mom, of course, you got spanked again.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn, I got spanked already. I got spanked three, 4 times for the same thing.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
And you probably still didn't really pick up what you were getting spanked for by
I
the
didn't know not
time
to
it
do
was
that.
all said and done.
I just said, well, let me not do that again. That's kind of what I thought. Yeah, but that's what we were learning, and so
I
when I
didn't get
became a
spanked
mom, I
as
had.
much. My brother got spanked more, and I learned from the stuff that he got in trouble for.
But then my mom, she noticed that I bruise very easily, so she was, I can't have you going to school like this. So I can't paddle you no more, spank you no more, because you're gonna leave bruises. It was like webs all over my body, and
Yeah.
my brother gets the same thing done to him. He wouldn't have any on him. Cause so I was like, nope, that's good for me. And so I learned, when I became a parent and things like that. And I say I never respect my kids, but it came to better than listening to them and talking with them and to find out where their headspace was and things like that. And I have a pretty good relationship with my children now because I didn't really feel there was a need to do that. You know,
Yeah.
explaining to them why it's dangerous, why I don't want you to touch the stove.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of works out and things like that. But yeah, religion has for a lot of people's minds and things like that. And sometimes you don't even understand where it's gotten you. But I'm
No.
glad that you're on the path of where you are comfortable with in your life, and it
Me
helps you
too.
grow to be the wonderful person that you are today. And I saw that wonderful grandchild in those pictures.
He's
It's
so precious.
adorable.
That child, I would give him anything. I swear.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know
Oh,
what it
ass,
is
and I
about
have
that
two
grandbaby
grandchildren.
love, but
I
it
know it
is
doesn't look
something else.
like it, but I have two.
It's
18,
intoxicating.
8 to 5. So yeah, I don't know. They take over your heart, and you're like, forget who's your favorite kid? I be like, I'm gonna name my grandkids' name. No, your kids like you gave birth to.
Nah, I don't know
Oh,
them.
yeah, I don't know them. Sugar, why you on my shirt, baby girl? Yeah. So does anybody in the audience have any questions for our guest before we leave? Um, so yeah, this is something I thought to talk about and things like that. A lot of people do leave religion and they want to find some other community and things in a religious faith, whatever.
Yeah, and I always like, I like to tell people if you're looking for somewhere to land or you're, really desperate for community after you've left religious spaces, but you don't want to go back into religion, look into humanism. Like
Yeah.
seriously,
Secular
because
humanists here.
yes, exactly. And it's because like it is the best place where you can find people that are going to think like you do. Okay, just be so for real and you'll have community because you really need community to help heal you. You do. We're healed in community with other people. So, and humanism is just such a safe place for people to be because in that space you're not required to believe one thing or another. You're just required to be a good person. That's really it.
That's all you have to do. Be a good person.
Yep.
Doesn't matter. Just be a good person. I am going to anything else besides your show and anything you want to plug or anything, gonna put it out.
Not really.
I her
just listening to the
information.
Awakening podcast, you know.
Yes.
You can find me on TikTok too. I'm on TikTok as Happy Heather, and I
Yeah.
post all kinds of crazy videos over there, so beware.
Yeah, she has some very informational stuff on there. I like her TikTok and
I
stuff.
do educational stuff, but I'm kind of rude sometimes too.
I I can I can do this. No, I cannot. Okay, never mind. I was gonna forget to do something, but I cannot forget to do it. Needed to do that beforehand before I did this. But yeah, I was kind of showing a little clip, but I guess I can't do it right now. And I should have downloaded it before. But yeah, um, but yeah. So, like we said earlier, her stuff is in the description if you want to find out more about the Celtic religion and things like that. And maybe not still just to join, but to find out more about it and things like that.
Yeah.
And I did not know there was a Christianity part of it. I just knew about the Celtic where they had the pagans and things like that. Not a
Yeah,
little
we
bit
call
about
it
that, but not.
Celtic Christianity, but it is very much an interfaith religion. So it combines many different aspects of faith and spirituality to form whatever. I
And
actually told everybody on the internet a couple weeks ago, I personally don't like even being called Christian anymore. I was like, you can call me spiritual, you can call me religious, just don't call me Christian. And that's because the label of Christian has been so tainted
yeah,
lately by us. It was really what did it was them aligning with, pedophilia and not calling that out and saying, hey, this is bad. Like, we can't you can't say that's wrong. Like, if you are calling yourself a Christian and you can't publicly say that pedophilia is wrong, then I don't want to be called a Christian anymore because I can
exactly.
say pedophilia is wrong. I don't got a problem with
But
that.
it's a sad thing to say is that it doesn't really matter what faith you believe or you don't believe. It's going to be those people
Yep,
in the circle, And that's one
absolutely.
thing that is people that are gonna, sad thing to say, but
It
that's
is.
reality.
It's such a dark time to be alive right now.
I I don't know. It's just like only thing I would say with that is that sometimes how can I put this? People were more silent with their thought process that was not normal. Now they're open about it. So
Yes.
in a sense, I feel I can't really say I feel good. I feel better knowing the truth about you
Yes. Yes.
because you smiling
Yes.
on my face. When I was a child, high school age, so I was sitting at the table with a couple of students, chemistry class, as a matter of fact. So it was before class, before the teacher spoke to us, everything like that. And so one of the students we Detroit at the time is predominantly black area, a few Jews here and there. When I grew up, it was predominantly black with Jews here and there. So he was, I'm so glad racism is over. Is what the student said to the
Oh,
teacher,
wow.
and the teacher, who was a Polish man, came up and he was like, "That's not true at all."
Yeah.
He said, "I'm sorry to tell you that." He said, "You just live in an isolated area." He said, "Once you leave, even if you cross certain street in a community in a city in Michigan, they're gonna hate you because of the color of your skin." He said, "I'm gonna tell you something. I shouldn't really say anything to you, but there are teachers that hate you because of the
Yep.
color of your skin that's teaching you right now."
Yeah.
He said, "Don't ever say that."
It's over.
And this was in the 90s, and he said that.
Yeah.
I found out soon as I left. I went to Kentucky. I realized that yes, it was very right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Robin.
And the reality is the only places where you're taught that racism isn't still existent is in the church.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I left the International Church of Christ. I want to talk about that religion at another date with somebody else, with whatever. But about the wonderful Kit McKinnon and his corruptness. But I will end right now with the show. I thank everyone for watching. I thank you for being my guest. It was a wonderful
No.
conversation, and I love
Yeah.
finding out about different things. I will briefly tell about the story with the Kentucky thing. So we went on a trip, and my mom was a teacher. She retired in 2011. Was it 11? Something like that. Yeah, did the 10 or 11. And but this year, I was 10 years old, and we decided to have. She decided to take us with the spring break with her because she was chaperoning with the school. So we took a bus from Detroit to Miami. Oh my god, long trip. But we had fun because I was with other the high school students and stuff. But we got to Kentucky, and this boy, maybe about my age, started saying the N word, looking at me, and I remember looking like, jumping up, about to say something
Yeah.
to this boy, and my mom snatched me so fast and threw me on the bus. And I got on the bus in tears, mad because why can't I say anything to him? And she was thinking like they'll lynch you. Get
Yeah.
on the bus right now. And that was in like 85.
Wow.
So yeah, but it was a
And
lot of
see,
other
that's
stuff.
crazy because I was born in 81. So, like, I grew up in a totally different world than you did. Like, for real. Like, I did because I had no idea that that was happening around me. Like, no idea. Oblivious.
Yeah. And then I must say another thing, leave this out. This is even deeper. My youngest is 21 now. So she was maybe about 10, maybe a little older or younger. And this was right outside of a city called Warren, Michigan. It's not too far from Detroit. And this little white girl my daughter used to play with. And they had a good time. And so they colored and different stuff. It was always on my porch playing, no problem. So the mother came over one day and was like, I don't mean to be offensive, but I stay with my mom and I have to follow her rules. And she says that she does not want my daughter playing with your daughter because your daughter's black.
Oh, no.
So this was like in 2000s.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
so horrible.
yeah. So the little girl didn't understand. She kept trying to come over to play at her house.
Yeah.
And she would cry, but I want to play with my friend.
Oh my god. How terrible. That is so
So yeah.
terrible.
So that's in
And
Michigan.
see, kids don't know any better. They just love people. Like, their
Yeah, no, they
parents
were
should
trying to
be
play.
dang
Just trying to.
ashamed.
She was just trying to play. She didn't understand, and I didn't have no problem playing. But I said, "No, swear, you gotta go
Yeah.
across the street."
Yeah.
And I said, "For you doing with this, you racist yourself."
Yeah. Yep.
That was it. But enough about that. Everybody, hope you have a great week. Oh, how to plug my stuff.
Yeah, plug your stuff.
Um, Saturday the 20th, it will be the Black Non-Believers episode, of course, but it's also I'm going to be interviewing Candace Gorham and Deanna Williams. Candace Gorham is the president of American Atheist. I'm sorry, American Humanist Association, and um, Deanna is a board member for Black Nonbelievers. I'll interview them. Then Sunday after that, I will be on Cynthia's channel with Tina Marshall, and we will talk about being the affiliate leaders for Black non-believers and everything. And then next week, a week from today, I will be interviewing Damien Marie at Hope on Christmas Eve. So that's little bit of stuff going on with me. I will put the links in my Facebook and other social media places. Until next time, you guys have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.